welcome back to another sessions that we're holding with Dr. Sidhu, who is a licensed and certified AP chemistry teacher. In the last few sessions, we were discussing about the subject of chemical foundation, atoms, elements, and ions. And today we are going to summarize this topic with Dr. Sidhu. So, Dr. Sidhu, how are you today?
Thanks for introducing me. I am very fine and I am very excited to be with you today.
So, Dr. Anu, before we could summarize that the topic that we were having, these atoms, elements, and ion, we would really like to give your knowledge a test today. So, are you ready for it?
I am ready.
That is the enthusiasm that we want to see.
I hope the test is not that tough.
I'm sure that you will pass in flying colors.
Okay, let me try.
Dr. Sidhu, let's start with I'll be giving you from alphabets from A to C, and then we'll see that which elements come from which alphabets. You have to tell us the names.
Wow, interesting. Okay, let's start.
So let's start with letter A.
A for argon.
A for argon, and okay, then B.
B for boron.
Boron. C.
C for carbon.
D.
D for dubnium.
Okay. E.
E for einsteinium.
Okay, let's see. Which element come from letter H?
H for hydrogen.
H for hydrogen. I.
I for iodine.
Okay, and then Y.
Y for yttrium.
And which element comes from letter J?
No element as such. Right
That's
now,
the only letter. That's the only letter.
There is one more with the letter Q. We have Q for queen, queen of chemistry, but no element as such.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's give you a few more tries. Letter M.
M for magnesium.
N.
N for nitrogen.
Okay. P.
P for potassium. P for phosphorus.
Okay. O.
O for osmium.
Ooh, that's a very interesting name.
And one more important, that is oxygen, which is, we inhale that gas, oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay, then we discuss about the Q. Okay, letter S.
Sulfur.
T.
T for titanium.
R.
R for radon.
Okay. G.
G for gallium.
K.
K for potassium. K for krypton.
Okay.
Yeah, K for krypton is
Okay. Okay. Letter L.
L for lanthanum.
Okay. These are very interesting names, but okay. U.
U for uranium, the last naturally occurring element in this world.
And V.
V for vanadium.
Mm-hmm. I see. I told you you will pass with flying colors. You are done. You just know everything on tips.
Z for xenon. Z for zinc. X for xenon. Y for yttrium. W for tungsten.
And the list goes on.
Yeah. Thanks for passing me.
And this was a refresher for our audience as well, because we were having this periodic table and all the elements, and it was a refresher for our audience as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So, Dr. Sidhu, let's summarize the topic: atoms, elements, and ions.
Yes. So in this topic, it's all about the main keywords which I introduced to my viewers, to my students. And as the topic says, it is chemical foundations. So it is very important to actually know about the exact meaning of all those key terms. So like, for example, we start with element. Element is the smallest particle of any substance. Then is atom. Atom is the smallest particle of an element. Like carbon element, its atoms, that is carbon atom. Then we have atomic number. It is the number of protons which are present inside the nucleus of an atom. What is nucleus? Nucleus is the centrally placed region in the atom. Then proton. Protons are the positively charged particles. Neutrons, these are the neutral particles. Three fundamental particles of atoms are electrons, protons, and neutrons. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged, and neutrons, they are neutral. What are nucleons? Nucleons are the particles which are present inside the nucleus, that is, protons and neutrons. What is mass number? Mass number is the sum total of protons and neutrons present inside the nucleus. Then we have Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton's atomic theory says that atoms is the smallest particle of any substance. Atoms are indivisible. Atoms of one element, they are all alike. Atoms of different elements are different. And atoms of different elements combine to make compounds. Then is about what is compound? Compound is formed when the atoms of the different elements, they combine in a fixed ratio by mass. Then we talked about molecule. What is a molecule? Molecule of an element means it is the atoms of the same element, like hydrogen gas, it is H2. Molecule of a compound means it is made when the atoms of different elements, they combine. Like for example, water. Then is diatomic molecule. Diatomic molecule means which have two atoms combined of the same element. And there are 7 diatomic molecules, that is hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, then fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, like H2, O2, N2, then F2, Cl2, Br2, and I2. Next is about isotopes. Isotopes are the atoms of the same element which have different number of neutrons, means they have different mass number but same atomic number. After that, we talked about, talked about symbols of the elements. Symbols of the elements are the various letters in the English alphabets which are used to represent the elements. Then about the formula of the compound. Formula of the compound means that it is the representation of the compound by using the symbols of the various elements and the stoichiometric ratios in which those elements are combined to make that compound. Then we talked about the mass number, that was the number of protons and neutrons. We talked about that part. After that, about the ions. Ions are the species which are formed because of the loss or gain of electrons. There are 2 types of ions, cations and anions. Cations are formed when the elements, they lose electrons and they are positively charged ions. For example, sodium loses electron to form sodium ion and all that. And then we have anions. Anions are negatively charged ions and they are formed by the gain of electrons. So the non-metals gain electrons to form anion. They are negatively charged. Next is the ionic bond. So the force of attraction, it is the attractive force which holds the ions together. That is known as the ionic bond. Another name for ionic bond is the electrostatic bond. So that is the ionic bond. Next is about the ionic compound. So compound which contains ionic bond, that is known as the ionic compound. Like sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal, sodium loses electron, chlorine gains electron. So sodium chloride, this is an ionic compound. After that, when we discuss a lot about elements, and after that we thought of classifying these elements, and then we came to the periodic table. So what is periodic table? It is a form of arrangement of the elements in increasing order of their atomic numbers. So this is the way in chemistry that we classify the various elements to make our work easy, so that we are able to understand and study the properties of the elements in a very easy way. And for the periodic table is divided into groups and periods. There are 18 groups, there are 7 periods. vertical columns, that is from top to bottom, top to bottom. These are called groups, also called families. And then we have periods. There are 7 periods. Those are from left to right. And those are horizontal rows, which are called periods. So there are 7 periods and 18 groups. Also, our periodic table is divided into 4 blocks, S, P, D, F. So S block is group 1 and group 2. P block is group 13 to group 18. D block is group 3 to group 12, and F block is lanthanoids and actinoids. So S block and P block, collectively, those are called representative elements. D block is the transition elements, and F block is inner transition elements. So we talked about the periodic table. And yeah, so I think that was it. So we started with the atom, elements, ions, molecules, right? And isotopes, cations, anions, ionic bond, ionic compound, and all that. And then we switched towards the periodic table and their classification, how we can study the periodic table and everything. So that is all about this chemical foundation summary.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sidhu, for sharing these valuable information with us. And we hope in future that we will be having such discussions as well for a different topic and a different purpose. So that was all for today. And hope
There is one question I asked in the previous session, if you remember, and it was about that which metal causes poisoning in the soil. And it is very important for me to answer this question to my viewers, that that metal is actually, that element is arsenic. So our soil, this universe has a lot of arsenic poisoning. But look at this nature. In nature, by default, there is a, because there is one another question I asked, that which plant is utilized by nature to bleach this, I can say, to leach this arsenic poisoning, to remove this, that the name of that plant is brake fern. So brake fern is that plant which actually leaches out, removes the arsenic from the soil. So isn't it so beautiful how this nature, this universe is created and developed, by default, that poisoning is being removed because of that brake fern. So we are blessed.
yes, we are. Indeed, our nature is very fascinating, we can say.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So that was all for today, and hope you all got benefit from today's session. We will be holding such sessions in the future as well. Please like and subscribe to SIDHU'S Academy on YouTube. This is Komal, your host from Outland Media, signing off.